Today, I'm going to talk about healing from narcissistic abuse with medical medium information. Hello and welcome. My name is Rachel Pellison. I am a registered dietitian, nutritionist, a somatic practitioner, and an intuitive energy healer. I have also been through my own journey healing from narcissistic abuse, and I've been helping clients heal all things physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual with medical medium information for the last 8 years. So, narcissistic abuse. First, let's talk about what happens in the body when someone goes through any kind of abuse, but today in particular, narcissistic abuse. So the first thing is it's a stressor. And anytime we are under stress, when the nervous system is hyper aroused or hyper activated, the first thing that happens is the adrenals are going to release stress hormones and adrenaline. That turns down the immune system, it turns down detoxification, and it puts a very large burden on the liver to process those stress hormones. So it puts your body in a place where toxins are accumulating more rapidly and pathogens have the opportunity to grow because the immune system cannot fight them. Your body is in a state of fight, flight, freeze, fawn, people please, whatever it's doing to try and keep you safe and to keep you alive in that moment. So these long-term uh, things to keep you alive, digestion, immune system, cellular repair, those go way down on the list for the body. So, being in an environment that is highly stressful because of narcissistic abuse immediately puts you at higher risk for health conditions. And we see a lot of people have developed thyroid conditions, hormonal imbalances, infertility, hair loss. Adrenal fatigue symptoms, autoimmune conditions can become diagnosed. After years of this sorts of abuse, we can see cancers develop. So, where these conditions and symptoms show up in the body depends on what particular blend of toxins, pathogens, and nutrient deficiencies your body is dealing with, and also the level of stress that you're under. So, if you're dealing with a lower level covert narcissist and you came into that relationship pretty strong, your symptoms will tend to be less severe. If you already came in compromised and you're dealing with a high level narcissist and very severe abuse, those symptoms can come on very, very rapidly and they can become very severe very quickly. And again, those are generalizations. This can happen in any way, shape, or form. So, the stress is a setup for illness and health symptoms in the body. And so, how do we heal that? So, first and foremost, ideally, we are trying to remove that stressor. So, we are getting out of the web, out of the control, manipulation, and influence of the narcissist. Easier said than done. That is a process that takes time that everyone gets to in their own point of readiness. But so once we remove the stressor, then for most people, rest is the first step. We need some time for that nervous system, for those stress hormones to go from up here to come down. We need to give the body time to recognize that it is now safe. So creating safety and security is the number one most important step. For some people, this may look like a lot of sleep. It may look like a lot of alone time. It may look like a lot of downtime. It may look like scrolling on your phone or watching a lot of TV. Those things are absolutely okay if they are giving you peace. Okay, so that's the first thing. We have to understand that the nervous system has been on high alert for a period of time. And so we have to give the nervous system time to just start to come down a little bit. And often with narcissistic abuse, there's cycles of stress hormones as well, right? They, there's a trigger, there's an abusive moment, and then the narcissist jumps into the repair, reconnect mode. And so you calm down. And then there's another moment of abuse, and then they repair and reconnect. And so it's this cycle, right? And so oftentimes it can be difficult to get out of because that cycle of repair is always there. And narcissists will often keep you just exhausted, confused, and overwhelmed enough to stay but not so bad that it crosses a threshold where you say, I can't do this, I'm going to leave. Because narcissists are preying on your energy. And who do narcissists choose? They tend to choose strong, empathic, compassionate, self-aware um, people. They tend to choose empaths, light workers, healers, people pleasers, right? People who tend to be overgiving, right? So if you've been in a relationship with a narcissist, there can often be guilt and shame because you can feel like, how did I let this happen? Why did I let this go on for so long? Why didn't I see this sooner? Um, and I just want you to know it's not your fault. You were highly manipulated by a very smart, strategic person. And so, first and foremost, realize that it's not your fault. The mental aspects of healing are just as important as the physical aspects of healing. I should say the mental, emotional, and spiritual are just as important as the physical. Um, and understand that this is a spiritual assignment. Being in a relationship with a narcissist, they often show up just as you're about to take a quantum leap into the next level of who you are, into the next version of yourself. They often show up right at that point, not as a test. I don't believe that the universe is testing us, but as an assignment to truly understand what happens when someone steals your energy, to truly understand what happens to your body when you are being manipulated and abused, to understand what other people go through. What also happens with narcissists, and medical medium talks about this, is that they are riddled with entities. They are fueled by entities. And so those entities are going to cause them to attack at random times to feed. Narcissists have very little capacity to generate their own energy, their own life force. And so, because the entities are stealing their energy, and the entities then make them steal energy from the empath, the healer, the highly sensitive person. So those entities are periodically going to push them to feed off of your energy. And so that's why people often find themselves in narcissistic relationships really exhausted, really overwhelmed, really confused, losing touch with your intuition. That was a huge one for me. I really lost touch with my connection to a higher power. And that's who I am and that's what I do. So if I lose that, it's very easy for anyone to lose that. Um, so understand that this is a spiritual assignment. This is part of your growth process. This is part of your next level. This is part of claiming a level of power, a level of boundary, a level of self-esteem that you didn't even know was possible for you. So if you're in the thick of this, and it's very difficult, it's very difficult. This is one of the most painful, most trying, most difficult things I have ever been through. But you will come out of it absolutely victorious, and you will claim a power that was not accessible to you in any way, shape, or form before you connected with the narcissist. Now, if you have narcissistic abuse in your past from your childhood, obviously this is not your fault. Of course, you should not have any guilt or shame about that as well, but often we do. So this information applies to anyone who's experienced narcissistic abuse, but I am particularly speaking to the person who has just disconnected or was in an intimate relationship with a narcissist, because there is this really heightened acute experience, and then as you come out of it, those stress hormones start to come down. But they often come down like this. As you're leaving, it goes way up, comes down, goes back up, comes down, goes back up, come down, and it trends down, and sometimes it loops back around, but it's on the downward trend. And for most people, I think it can take 3 to 4 months to really start to feel like yourself again, largely disconnected. For some people, complete disconnection is not possible because there is co-parenting involved, or it's family, or whatever the situation is. Um, but as much disconnection as possible is going to give your nervous system the most time to rest. And then as your nervous system is coming down, the stress hormones are coming down, your immune system is naturally going to start to increase. Now, what this can mean is you may start to feel physically worse after you get out because your immune system was so suppressed while you were under stress that as the stress hormones come down and the immune system comes up and the detoxification is going to start to kick back in, the body is purging toxins out. You may get your thyroid diagnosis months after you get out of the relationship. Okay. This is a perfectly natural and normal response. It doesn't mean that you're getting worse. It actually means that you're healing. So just be patient as your body works through this process. And again, this is why rest is really one of the number one forms of medicine because your body just needs that time to decompress and it needs that time to begin to rebuild. So one of the key pieces as the nervous system starts to come down and as you start to rewire for safety and security and you start to discover your new normal, adrenal support is of the utmost importance. So because the adrenals have been pumping out high levels of stress hormones, they can become pretty fatigued. So symptoms of adrenal fatigue, and I have a whole video on this, which I will link below, um, could be having difficulty sleeping in the morning. So waking up like wired at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., not being able to go back to sleep, even though you're exhausted. Can be difficulty falling asleep. You could be wired, you're trying to go to bed at 10 o'clock and you're wired and you can't go to sleep till 1 or 2. It could be difficulty staying asleep. So any kind of sleep disruptions can be adrenal. Frequent urination is an adrenal fatigue symptom. A lot of people, as they begin healing, they start peeing all the time and they have to pee like 3, 4 times at night. That's a natural part of the healing process. It will go away. I went through that now once or none at night. Um, it can be feeling afternoon slump is a symptom of adrenal fatigue. Craving things like caffeine, chocolate, sugar, salty foods, all symptoms of adrenal fatigue. It can be generalized fatigue all throughout the day, but often it's periods of slump. So it could be fatigue in the morning, fatigue in the afternoon, fatigue at times that you don't want it, and wired energy at times that you don't want it. So things sort of get flipped around. That can also show up as reproductive issues, issues with your cycle, all symptoms of adrenal fatigue, any kind of hormonal imbalance. Thyroid issues can also be a symptom of adrenal fatigue. So, number one is giving lots of attention to the adrenals. So, that means snacking every 90 minutes to 2 hours. Um, Use the medical medium adrenal snacks, things like apple, celery, and dates every 90 minutes to 2 hours. Your brain needs major amounts of glucose to restore all those neurotransmitters that got burned up while you were under all that stress. Your adrenals need lots of glucose and potassium and mineral salts. Your brain needs the mineral salts too. Um, so that's where celery juice can be really helpful for restoring the mineral salts. The other thing I will say, you may need to go very, very slow. Often coming out of narcissistic abuse, high level detox is not productive because your body, as the stress hormones come down, is naturally already kicking up detox. It's already kicking up immune function. And so you don't necessarily need this extra huge push to like kick it into ultimate high gear. Um, Slow and steady as the nervous system recalibrates can be really supportive. So something like the morning cleanse can be very helpful, which is fat-free and raw until noon, or maybe some oatmeal included in the morning. I went through a period of having oats for about 3 months in the morning just to give me some stability, some grounding, some more slow, consistent drip of glucose into the system from the oats. You may need some more grounding and stabilizing foods. Potatoes are also a wonderful grounding, stabilizing food. Any of your winter squashes as well. the ones you gotta roast in the oven, like butternuts and acorns and delicatas and all those things. Um, go slow. There's no, the nervous system does not heal on your timeline. It heals through safety and security. So creating a safe, grounding, secure, nourishing food protocol is very key, especially in the early stages as you're just coming out of that relationship and that high stress, especially if you are continuing to have to co-parent or parallel parent with someone with narcissistic tendencies. Um, and again, 3 to 4 months to feel like yourself. You're probably going to need to do a lot of crying. That is also very normal. There is a tremendous amount of stress that has been stuffed down and stored in the body, and it needs to come out. And as your body is detoxing that old adrenaline, there may be no trigger, nothing happened. You're having a great day, you haven't heard from this person, you're not talking to them, and all of a sudden, these huge waves of grief, anger, sadness, um, the word jumped out of my brain, loneliness. This is the old adrenaline that your body is now finally getting to process. Memories, inner talking, your mind, your subconscious is trying to recorrect, rewrite old stories, old trauma activations that didn't get fully processed and completed. This is all very normal part of the process, and it's not to be rushed and it's not to be bypassed. You cannot yoga or breath work or cleanse your way around the emotional processing that needs to happen. And the more you try to do that, the longer those emotions are going to last and the louder they're going to get. So lots of downtime to sit with these feelings and process and find trusted people to share with. Get yourself a good coach. Work with me. This is what I coach people through: the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual aspects of healing from narcissistic abuse using medical medium information and understanding why you went through this. One of my gifts through human design is to see the silver lining in every experience. It's to see everyone's highest potential. Probably why I wound up in the situation I wound up, right? See all the good in everyone, right? To take shit and turn it into gold. This is one of the channels I possess in human design. If you know anything about it, if you don't know about it, don't worry about it. But this is an innate gift and piece of who I am. So I can help you understand why you went through this and where it's taking you. Because again, this did not happen by accident. This was not your fault, but it was probably divinely timed and planted as part of your life path. So if you're in it, you might be like, whatever, Rachel, I can't even hear that. This is so horrible. Yes. But if you're coming out of it, if that starts to ring a little bell for you, give you a little, please reach out to me because I want to help you get through this. And I want to see empaths and starseeds and light workers and highly sensitives get past this and step into their light work because this is part of your process. This isn't just, oops, I married the wrong person. This is part of your process. This is part of becoming who you truly are, not reclaiming yourself, finding yourself, more of your soul than you've ever known before. But we have to start with healing the nervous system and the physical, and then we move into all that, the really ex the really exciting stuff. And I understand this because I have lived it and I am living it, and I will continue to grow from it. So go slow, let your nervous system calm down. In terms of medical medium information, here's some of the how-tos. Adrenal support. Listen to the medical medium radio show on adrenal fatigue. Listen to my YouTube episode on adrenal fatigue. Focus on glucose. Like I said, your brain and your adrenals, your liver, needs a massive resupply of glucose. So you want to focus on healing foods like fruit. Fruit is key, right? Some of the key foods for healing from narcissistic abuse, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and adrenal fatigue are wild blueberries, Potatoes, sweet potatoes, any kind, all the colors, yes, even the white ones. Oranges and tangerines, dates and figs. Keep a bag of dates and figs in your purse, in your car, in your pocket. Nibble on them all day long. You can also eat spoonfuls of raw honey. If you are really recovering from severe glucose deficiency, you might need glucose more than every 90 minutes. When I was in my early phases of healing, I would go to the fridge and get spoonfuls of maple syrup, go to the cabinet, get spoonfuls of honey. If you are craving that sugar, consume it because that is how your body is healing. You absolutely need it. Now, lots of natural sugars and high fat do not mix well. That is a whole other topic. But um, if you're following the medical medium plan and you're keeping your fats low, it's perfectly fine to consume that amount of glucose. Okay, so glucose is key. Um, Dates and figs, bananas, melons, mango, and then you also need mineral salts. So this is where leafy greens, sprouts, microgreens, cucumber, and in particular asparagus is very helpful for recovering the body. Asparagus is one of the best foods for the adrenals. So right now it's springtime here in New England. Um, I have two big bunches of asparagus in my fridge. I will munch on them raw. I will gently steam them. Get lots of asparagus in. You can get frozen asparagus if it is out of season for you. Don't be afraid to bring in potatoes in the morning as well. Again, if you need something stabilizing and grounding, you can have potatoes anytime. A sweet potato before bed is wonderful for sleep. Okay. Um, the medical medium brain shots from Brain Saver, the adrenal fight or flight shot, the dream shifter, the trauma shock and loss shot, and the betrayal and broken trust shot. Those are four that are phenomenal for PTSD and uh, abuse and adrenal fatigue. You can just Google those and the recipes will pop up. And then in terms of supplements, we're looking at supplements that are helping to stabilize the nervous system and that are helping to repair the adrenals. So B12 is key. Some people will need as much as 2 dropperfuls in the morning and the evening, especially if you have not been including B12. If you've been on the medical medium plan and you've been taking lots of B12, if you've been taking it for a number of months or years, you may not need that much. But if this is brand new to you, there is no tolerable upper limit for B12. There are no known toxicity effects for B12, so you can take pretty high doses, and you may feel a huge shift just from replacing that B12 for your nervous system. Glutamine is also very helpful, super calming amino acid. 5-MTHF and B complex. These are the other B vitamins that we burn through a ton of when we're under high levels of stress. So those are also very safe supplements that you want to get into your system in good amounts. GABA is also a wonderful supplement that just helps to calm the central nervous system. This is a wonderful one to take before bed if you feel like you get racing a little bit, or you can also take it in the morning throughout the day. And I also recommend that almost everyone take some magnesium because our soils are so deficient and a very high percentage of adults are deficient in magnesium. So magnesium glycinate is a wonderful source. I'm going to link my Amazon store below so you have links to these supplements. And I will also link my full script dispensary where you can get 20% off of here goes my brain again. You can get 20% off of Pure Encapsulations supplements as well. Okay, then shifting to herbs. Wonderful herbs for the brain. Ginkgo and ginseng are fantastic for just bringing more nutrients to the brain, improving blood flow, helping to detox the brain. And then for the adrenals, nettle, ashwagandha, and lemon balm. Lemon balm is wonderful because it also works with the nervous system and the adrenals. Nettle is fantastic because it's a highly nutritive herb, so it's going to help you replace a lot of those minerals and trace minerals that get really depleted and burned up when you're under high stress. Going to help to replace those neurotransmitters in your brain. I would also add coconut water. Taking any of these supplements with coconut water is going to enhance their effects. So if you're really struggling with sleep, take these GABA, magnesium, nettle, ashwagandha, lemon balm at bedtime. These are sort of the calming compounds with coconut water to help them work better. Um, Take them with a spoonful of honey, take them with some bananas and mango. I have a sleep smoothie. I will also link that on my website. That's also wonderful for sleep and is going to really help to restore the adrenals. Another piece of what's going on here from a higher perspective is that the reign of the narcissist is ending. This is part of the spiritual warfare that medical medium talks about. Entities are attaching to more negative people and fueling their narcissism and fueling their egos, and then they are preying on empaths and sensitives and highly compassionate, giving people. But we are waking up to this and we are not tolerating it anymore. So, if it seems like there's a rise of narcissists right now, there's not. They've always been here. They are being called out now. They're being put on the forefront. You hear more and more and more people talking about narcissists and recognizing narcissistic abuse and identifying narcissism in their families and in their history and healing from it and breaking those patterns so that narcissism does not continue to flow down family lines. So you are part of the spiritual warfare because you have had direct contact with these entities. And when you remove yourself as a fuel supply, those entities get weaker. And now the narcissist will go look for new supply. They will. They will try to go find a new person. But the more of us that wake up to this, the more of us that break the generational patterns, the relationship patterns, the fewer and fewer people there are for the entities to feed on and for the narcissist to prey on. And when the narcissist loses their fuel supply, it's a sad story. They become isolated, they're alone, they're angry, they're miserable, and oftentimes they get to a point where they won't even look for more supply because they can't get it anymore because they're too far gone. So understand this is for your personal growth and this is for the growth of the collective. If you save one person from narcissistic abuse, you save all the people that would come after. So this is a very big deal. And I say this about the medical medium healing as well. Your physical healing is not just about you. Because when you heal your body and you change the way you eat and you remove your dollars from the toxic food supply, from the toxic medical system, from the toxic pharmaceutical system, and you start moving it to local organic farms and local nurseries where you're buying your supplies, you change the whole system. Every single one of us who moves dollars changes the whole system. So, and every single one of us who heals our bodies and influences one person, who influences one person, one person, one person, that this spreads like a massive web. So we as empath starseeds, light workers, medical medium healers have been planted all over the world in isolation. You may feel like you've been doing all this work by yourself for a long time. That is coming to an end because we are all starting to weave webs together. We are connecting through the internet. We are connecting through local communities. We are connecting through retreats. We are connecting through group healings. We are all finally connecting. So if you don't feel connected yet, put it on your manifestation list, make it a name, say your prayers for it, invite people into your life, start going to meditation groups, like find your people because we are not doing this alone anymore. And the reason we are not doing this alone is because we heal more powerfully in connection. Healing alone in isolation, you have your nervous system and nothing else. And your nervous system can only recalibrate so much on its own. When your nervous system is in the presence of another nervous system that is calm and steady and grounded, there is an influence. It's called co-regulation. Our nervous systems are most heavily influenced by the five people we spend the most time around. It's why we often feel very dysregulated around our children because they're dysregulated a lot because they have very immature nervous systems and they don't have the capacity to self-regulate. So we're always regulating them. But in terms of the adults, right? If you're around people who are dysregulated all the time, it's going to have an influence on you. If you're around people who are regulated, it's going to have an influence on you. So you get to borrow from other people's nervous systems who are in balanced, healthy places. And the more people you do this with, the more we all shift and gravitate towards that balanced, steady state. So even listening to this, you might be listening to this 2 months, 3 months, 3 years, 5 years. You might be listening to this 10 years after I record this. You are still feeling the influence of my nervous system right now. It's that powerful. So please don't try to go this alone. Get support and get support from someone who understands narcissistic abuse, who understands the nervous system, somatics, and co-regulation. And no shade to the incredible therapists and practitioners out there who are doing amazing work, but they don't all get it. Okay, I've been in situations where the narcissism was completely missed, and it actually fueled it and made it worse. I've been in counseling situations where the person made me feel invalidated, asked me if I was being too sensitive, and made me question myself, made me more confused about what was going on. I've been in counseling situations where the person said, I believe you, but didn't feel like I was being believed. I've been in counseling situations where I felt like the person wasn't listening, wasn't connecting with me, wasn't helping me co-regulate whatsoever. It was like being on a desert island. I've been in counseling situations where I've just been told to exercise more. The more I exercise, the less anxiety I'll have, and to just think about something else because anxiety is all in your thoughts. Lives in your body and it lives in your nervous system, and it has very little to do with your thoughts. Okay. So if you've been through bad counseling experiences, I get it. And I am very, very sorry. And if you found a great counselor, thank the heavens and please share because they are out there. But I know a lot of people struggle to find them. So, so get support. And that's what I do. I have a 6-month mentorship where we create you a personalized medical medium plan, a personalized supplement plan. The supplements often require some experimentation and figuring out what the right combination is for you, and it often changes over time. It's a moving target. And part of what I teach you is how to tune into your own body through somatic healing so that you know what you need, you know how to make adjustments, and you don't need to come to me and say, Rachel, should I eat this? Rachel, should I take that? Rachel, how much of this? I'm going to teach you how to know how to do that on your own because through somatic healing, reconnect you to your body. We reconnect you to your intuition. We rewire your nervous system for safety and security. And when that happens, and when your body is nourished and the toxin levels go down and the viral and pathogen loads go down and your intuition is on, that is when miracles happen. That's when you go, I get it. I know why I had to go through this. I understand my spiritual assignment and I see where this is taking me. And you start to have big visions and you start to have big goals and they start to come to you and you start to experience miracles and synchronicities. And the rate, we are in the quickening. We are full on in the quickening. Medical Medium has upped the celery juice dose, the baseline from 16 to 20 ounces because we are in the quickening. Now, don't think that means you have to drink 20 ounces. I am not drinking 20 ounces of celery juice right now. It's way too much for me. If celery juice is too strong for you, go with cucumber juice or do a green juice with a mix. So when I was under very high stress coming through this transition, I was just doing a green juice. Celery, cucumber, apple, parsley, cilantro, sometimes some kale in there, some ginger. and plenty of apple to make it sweet and delicious. So, and lots of orange juice also was really healing for me. So, so again, don't feel like you have to be on a high level of detox, but we are in the quickening. We are full on in it. And 2026 is the year of the fire horse. When you are in alignment, when you are healing, your lessons are coming so fast. So everyone's like, yay, you're a fire horse. We're going to be just cruising. Yes, but that also means you're going to be contracting through a lesson and expanding rapidly, and contracting through a lesson and then expanding rapidly. So just like your nervous system comes down, the pathogen levels come down like this, your healing goes up and then comes down. And then you feel really good. And then you have to emotionally process. And then, so, right, we're going up the same way. Things that are going up are going in the same pattern as things that are going down. It's never a straight linear process. You're going to have a lot of 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. But the miracles that become available to you when you choose yourself are incredible. And I've seen it countless times with clients, and I've seen it countless times with myself. So choose yourself, set your boundaries, use the techniques with narcissists that you need to, use gray rocking, um, do more research to understand how they work, the denying, the DARVO, right? Deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. These are all things we've got to process through the mind, right? So on the physical level, we are working on the food protocols. We are working on nourishing the body. We are working on restoring the neurotransmitters and healing the adrenals and balancing the hormonal system, strengthening the immune system. On the emotional level, we are giving ourselves time to process and purge and feel and release. On the mental level, we are doing our homework to understand what we went through, what the manipulation tactics were, how we manage this relationship or completely get out of it going forwards, how we heal those old wounds. And that's where the somatic practices come in as well, because there's a lot of old stuff that can be trapped in the body that we need to work with and we need to release as we move through the healing process. And then on a spiritual level, we are working with understanding why this was a spiritual assignment, how it was taking you from one version of yourself to the next, and where this is taking you on your path as a light worker, what your soul purpose is for going through this. So we're working on this at all levels. So this is what I do in my mentorship. We get you physically well. My clients average a 50% reduction in symptoms after 6 months. It's pretty incredible. It blows me away every single time, but it works. And the amount of miracles that come in your life, moves, new relationships, new jobs, new businesses, stepping into healing work, getting new educations, like big, big life-changing things. But we have to be working on all of these levels to receive that immense amount of benefit. So I'm going to drop links below. If you feel like this is the work that you need and you want the one-to-one support, please reach out to me, schedule a discovery call at that link below. And I will be talking a lot more about this topic because there are a lot of light workers out there who have been through this, are in it, and you're being called forward. And it's time for you to become physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually well, because we need you on the light team. We need you fully embodied, fully empowered, and fully living out your soul mission to change the frequency of the planet. And if that feels like a scary, overwhelming thing, it's not scary, it's awesome. But it requires doing this work. And the people who are drawn to medical medium, you are on this path. You are part of the light working team. Um, whether you understand that or at the level of you understand that is is very individual, but I keep repeating it because it's so important for everyone to understand that you are drawn to this information for a reason. I was drawn to this information for a reason, and I had to go through my experience for a reason, and it has absolutely lit a fire underneath me to help more people to heal beyond a physical level. I started my career as a dietitian working in hospitals that are full of entities, derms, or demons, as Anthony calls them. And now here I am on the opposite side of it. So please reach out to me either way. You can also reach me at support@rachelpellison.com. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear if this resonates. And I can't wait to see what this army of light workers healing and pulling the energetic plug from entities, derms, demons does in the next 5 to 10 years. Mark my words, it's going to be pretty incredible. So I'm sending you so much love, and I am reminding you again that this is not your fault. You did not do anything wrong. This is an assignment, and you have a very important mission to heal from this. So I love you so much, and I will see you soon.